Part 1. Don't open the window. 30-second hook. If you're reading this at night, and there's a window somewhere in the room with you, don't open it. Even if you hear knocking. Even if you see someone outside. Even if the message on your screen tells you to. Because the last time someone ignored that warning, the next post on the forum was written by them. And tonight, I think I'm becoming the next one. 2:03 a.m. The room was silent. Not normal silence. The kind of silence that presses against your ears until every tiny sound feels wrong. My monitor was the only light in the room. Cold blue light spilling across my desk. Keyboard. Coffee mug. Crumpled notes. Outside the window the world was black. No streetlights reached the trees behind my house. Just a thick wall of darkness. The clock on my computer read 2:03 a.m. I had been browsing horror forums for almost 3 hours. Not because I believed in any of it. I just liked reading strange stories. People posting about ghosts, sleep paralysis, creepy neighbors. Most of it was fake. But sometimes, you found one story that felt real. That night, the thread appeared at the top of the page. New post. Do not open your window tonight. I frowned. The username was strange. Posted by Outside Your Window. Weird. The post had only been up for 2 minutes. Curiosity 1. Clicked it. Post. The page loaded slowly. Black background. White text. Simple. The title read, If you're reading this after 2 a.m., do not open your window. I rolled my eyes. Classic horror setup. Kept reading. If you're seeing this post right now, it means you're awake late enough for it to notice you. Tonight something is walking through neighborhoods. It looks for people who are awake. It watches through windows. Smirk. Definitely fake. But the writing was good. You won't see it at first. You'll just hear knocking. 3 knocks. Low. Patient. My eyes flicked toward my window. Just out of habit. Nothing there. Just darkness. I turned back to the screen. Do not check the window. Do not move the curtains. Do not open it. Because if it sees you notice it, it will start watching you back. A breeze brushed my neck. Cold. I frowned. My window was closed. I leaned back in my chair. The story continued. If you've already looked at the window, then it already knows you're awake. I swallowed. Still entertaining. Still fake. But something about the way the post was written made my chest feel tight. If you hear knocking, ignore it. My room creaks softly. Old house. Normal. If you see something outside, pretend you didn't. I shifted in my chair. My brain suddenly aware of the window behind me. And whatever you do, do not open the window. I leaned forward to scroll further. But the post ended there. No explanation. No ending. Just comments below. The comments. The first comment was from someone named Night Reader. This is stupid. Second comment. Ghost Hunter 88. Bro trying to start a creepypasta. Third comment. Lakeside Camper. Wait, did anyone else just hear knocking? Smirk. Nice roleplay. Then another comment appeared. Live. Right in front of me. Outside Your Window replied. It's already near one of you. A strange chill crawled up my spine. The thread refreshed. More comments poured in. Night Reader. Okay. Lakeside Camper. Not funny man. Outside Your Window. The one near water should close their curtains. My stomach tightened. My house sat near a small river behind the woods. I shook my head. Coincidence. Half the country lived near water. I glanced at the window again. The curtains were half open. Darkness outside. Nothing else. Then another reply appeared. From the same user. Outside Your Window. The one with the blue coffee mug should stop looking outside. My breath stopped. Slowly. I looked at my desk. Blue mug. Right next to the keyboard. My throat went dry. That could still be coincidence. Lots of people had blue mugs. My eyes moved slowly toward the window. The trees outside didn't move. No wind. No sound. Nothing. Then the message appeared. Direct reply. Me. Underscore outside your window replied to dark thread reader. Don't look again. My username. My chest tightened. I stared at the screen. Someone in the thread was messing with people. Had to be. Maybe they hacked webcams. I quickly covered mine with my hand. My pulse was louder now. But I kept reading. Another comment appeared. Night reader. Wait, WTF, I hear knocking. The sound came from behind me. 3 slow taps. Glass. My entire body froze. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. My eyes slowly turned toward the window. Darkness. Total darkness. But something inside my chest whispered something I didn't want to hear. Post had said. 3 knocks. My computer screen flickered. Another message appeared. Outside your window. I told you not to check. Cold fear spread through my stomach. My chair creaked as I slowly turned. The window stood 10 feet behind me. Curtains slightly open. Black forest beyond. Nothing else. Right. My brain screamed at me to ignore it. But curiosity is a terrible thing. I stood slowly. Walked toward the window. Each step felt louder than it should. The floor creaked. My heartbeat hammered. The curtain moved slightly in the night breeze. My hand reached out. I pulled the curtain aside. And that's when I saw it. Something standing between the trees. Tall. A shape darker than the darkness around it. Completely still. Watching the house. Watching the window. Watching me. I stumbled backward. Heart racing. The screen behind me lit up with another message. Outside your window. Sees you now. The lights in my room flickered. Then something new appeared on the screen. A line of text typing itself. Slowly. Letter by letter. It's moving closer. I looked back at the window. The trees were empty. The thing was gone. And then, the sound came again. But this time, it wasn't coming from the window. It was coming from the bedroom door behind me. Part 2. The knocking moved inside. The knocking on my bedroom door was slow. Deliberate. Pause. Another pause. 3 taps. Exactly like the post had described. My throat went dry. I stared at the door across the room. The thin strip of darkness beneath it felt deeper than it should have been, like the hallway outside had somehow swallowed all the light in the house. The computer screen behind me glowed brighter. Another message appeared on the forum. Outside your window. Don't open the door either. A chill crawled up my spine. My hands trembled slightly as I stepped back toward the desk. Someone was watching me. They had to be. There was no other explanation. I forced the thought away. Ghost stories were fun to read. Not fun to live through. Another comment appeared on the thread. Night reader. Dude, someone just knocked on my window too. Another user responded seconds later. Sleepy owl. Me too. The original poster replied immediately. Outside your window. It moves between houses. My chest tightened. The room suddenly felt colder. Another knock echoed from the door. But this time it was softer. Almost like something testing the wood. My brain screamed at me not to answer it. But the silence afterward felt worse. I slowly approached the door. Step creaked. The knocking stopped. I stood inches away from the handle. My hand hovered above it. My reflection stared back at me from the polished brass knob. Pale, wide-eyed, terrified. Behind me the computer keyboard clicked. I spun around. New text was appearing on the screen. Outside your window. Don't check the hallway. My stomach twisted. Someone was definitely watching. I rushed back to the desk. Type quickly. Dark thread reader. How do you know what's happening in my house? For the first time the thread went silent. The blinking cursor on my screen felt louder than any sound in the room. 10 seconds passed. 20. Then the reply appeared. Outside your window. 'Cause I'm not the one watching you. Cold weight dropped into my stomach. Before I could respond, something heavy hit the door. I jumped backward. The handle slowly turned. Not fast. Not violently. Just a quiet, careful twist. The door creaked open an inch. Darkness spilled into my room. The hallway light was off, but I had left it on earlier. I was sure of it. I stared at the crack in the door, waiting, listening. Nothing moved. No breathing. No footsteps. Just the soft hum of my computer. My heart hammered so loud I could feel it in my throat. Then something changed. A smell drifted through the crack in the door. Wet, cold, like river water. My stomach dropped. Behind my house, past the trees, there was a small river. I slowly pushed the door open wider. The hallway was empty. The light switch on the wall was still on, but the bulb had gone out. Shadows stretched down the hallway like fingers. My mind raced through possibilities. Someone could be in the house. Prank. Break-in. Anything but what my imagination wanted to believe. I grabbed my phone. No signal. Course. Old house. Bad reception. I stepped into the hallway. The floor creaked under my weight. The cold smell of water was stronger out here. Something was dripping somewhere. Low. I followed the sound toward the living room. Rip, rip, rip. My chest tightened. Water was pooling on the wooden floor. Small drops leading from the front door. Like wet footprints. But they weren't normal footprints. They were long. Too long. Almost like someone with enormous feet had walked through the house. My breathing grew shallow. I turned slowly toward the front door. It was still closed. But the doorknob was wet. My phone buzzed suddenly. I almost dropped it. A notification. From the forum. Another message. Outside your window. Did it come inside? My fingers trembled as I typed. Dark thread reader. There's water on my floor. The reply came instantly. Outside your window. Then it's too late. My pulse exploded in my ears. Before I could ask what that meant, a new comment appeared. From a user I hadn't seen before. River witness. Wait, are you near a river? I stared at the screen. Slowly typed. Dark thread reader. The reply came almost immediately. River witness. Then you need to leave the house. Another message from the original poster interrupted. Outside your window. Don't listen to him. The two users started replying back and forth. Like they were arguing. River witness. He's lying. It's connected to the water. Outside your window. Stop helping them. River witness. If the water is already inside the house, it means it's marked them. My chest tightened. Marked. The messages kept coming. Outside your window. Ignore him. River witness. Listen carefully. Check the woods behind your house. There should be a path leading to the river. I frowned. There was a path. But hardly anyone knew about it. I had discovered it years ago as a kid. Another reply appeared. River witness. If you see lights near the water, do not go closer. A slow creak echoed behind me. Turned. The front door had opened slightly. Cold air slid into the house. The smell of river water grew stronger. My heartbeat quickened. Something was outside. Watching. Waiting. My computer screen lit up again. Another message appeared. Outside your window. It's leaving. I walked slowly toward the door. Every instinct told me not to open it. But curiosity pulled harder. Pushed it open. The night outside was silent. Moonlight barely reached the yard. The trees behind the house stood like dark silhouettes. And beyond them, something faint flickered. Light. Near the river. Moving slowly between the trees. My stomach twisted. Another message appeared on my phone. From River Witness. That's not a person. My breath caught. I stared at the distant light. It moved closer to the ground. Like something crouching near the water. Then it disappeared. The woods went dark again. But the feeling of being watched didn't go away. I stepped back into the house. Locked the door. My computer screen refreshed again. A new post appeared. Same forum. Different title. New thread created. Someone in this thread opened the door. My heart dropped. The author of the new post was outside your window. Clicked it slowly. The message inside contained only one sentence. If you're reading this, the thing from the river is already inside your house. Behind me, water dripped again. But this time, the sound was coming from the ceiling. Part 3. The path to the river. The dripping from the ceiling continued. Low, heavy, rip. A drop of water hit the wooden floor beside my foot. Then another. Rip. My eyes slowly lifted toward the ceiling. A dark wet stain was spreading across the plaster above the hallway. But it wasn't just a stain. It was growing, like something soaked through from above. My stomach twisted. There was no bathroom above this part of the house. Just the attic. I took a slow step backward. Another drop hit the floor. Rip. The sound echoed through the hallway like a ticking clock. Behind me, my computer chimed again. Another message on the forum. I rushed back into my room. The thread had exploded with comments. Dozens of users were typing now. But 2 names stood out. Outside your window. River Witness. They were still arguing. River Witness. If water is inside the house, the river has already marked him. Outside your window. Stop interfering. River Witness. He still has time. My pulse pounded as I typed. Dark thread reader. Something is dripping from my ceiling. The reply came instantly. River Witness. Then it's in the attic. My chest tightened. The attic door was in the hallway, right under the spreading wet stain. Another message appeared. Outside your window. Don't go up there. My breathing slowed. My eyes moved between the 2 messages. Someone was trying to warn me. Someone else was trying to stop me. Question was, which one was lying? Then another comment appeared. River Witness. If you don't see what it left behind, you'll never understand what's happening. The dripping grew louder. My eyes moved slowly toward the hallway again. Water was now trickling down the wall. My heart sank. Whatever was above me. It wasn't small. I grabbed the flashlight from my desk drawer. My hands were shaking. The hallway felt colder when I stepped into it. The wet stain on the ceiling had spread almost 3 feet across. The attic door sat directly beneath it. A thin wooden panel with a pull cord. I stared at it. Something shifted above. Soft scraping sound. Like something heavy dragging slowly across the attic floor. My skin crawled. Behind me, my computer chimed again. Turn. Another message. River Witness. Is the attic door open? I looked back at it. The cord hung still. The panel closed tight. Type quickly. Dark thread reader. Mo. The reply came instantly. River Witness. Another message appeared seconds later. River Witness. Then whatever came in hasn't come down yet. My stomach dropped. I slowly stepped away from the attic door. Something creaked above again. Slow dragging movement. Like wet cloth being pulled across wood. My breathing grew shallow. I returned to the computer. Another user had joined the conversation. Old neighbor. What street are you on? I hesitated. Then typed it. The reply took longer this time. Almost 30 seconds. Then the message appeared. Old neighbor. I used to live 2 houses down from you. My skin prickled. He continued typing. Old neighbor. The river behind your woods. People used to drown there. The room suddenly felt colder. Another message followed. Old neighbor. Happened 4 times. My heart pounded harder. 4 drownings. I had grown up here. I never heard about that. The user continued. Old neighbor. They found all the bodies except one. My throat tightened. Another message appeared from River Witness. River Witness. The missing one is the problem. The dripping from the ceiling suddenly stopped. The silence that followed felt heavier than the sound ever did. Everyone in the thread seemed to notice. New comments poured in. Night reader. Why did the dripping stop? Sleepy owl. This thread is getting weird. But my eyes stayed on the attic door. Waiting. Listening. The silence stretched. 30 seconds. 1 minute. But something heavy shifted directly above the attic panel. Jumped back. The wood creaked under the weight. Something was standing on the attic door. My heart slammed in my chest. My computer screen flashed again. Another message appeared. Outside your window. Don't open it. Then immediately. River witness. Open it. My head spun. Two opposite warnings. My breathing was uneven now. The attic door creaked again. Something scraped slowly across it. Then stopped. Right above me. My skin crawled. I backed away slowly. The flashlight trembled in my hand. The forum updated again. River witness. Listen carefully. If the river marked you, it wants you to go back. My chest tightened. Back. Back where? The next message answered. River witness. Follow the path in the woods. My mind flashed to the narrow trail behind my house. The one leading down to the riverbank. I hadn't used it in years. Another message appeared. River witness. It always leads them there. My stomach twisted. Them. Another reply appeared from old neighbor. Old neighbor. That's where the bodies were found. A loud crack exploded above me. The attic door bulged downward slightly, like something heavy had leaned against it. My breath caught. The wood creaked again. Another crack. My computer screen flashed with a new message. Outside your window. It's trying to come down. My pulse spiked. Another crack echoed above me. The attic panel bent slightly. Water began dripping again. But faster now. Rip, rip, rip. My flashlight beam trembled across the ceiling. And then something new appeared in the wet stain. Shape. Long. Almost like a hand pressed against the wood above. 5 long fingers. Too long. My chest tightened. The panel creaked louder. My computer chimed again. Another message from River Witness. You need to leave the house. The attic door cracked again. A thin stream of river water poured through the split wood. Something shifted heavily above. Another crack. The panel bent downward. My mind raced. Or run. The forum updated again. Outside your window. It's almost through. My breathing turned frantic. I grabbed my jacket. Phone. Flashlight. My hand reached for the front door. The attic panel split with a loud snap. A long gray hand forced its way through the crack. And impossibly long. My heart nearly stopped. The fingers twitched slowly. Feeling the air. Searching. I threw the door open and ran outside. Cold night air slammed into my face. The woods behind my house stood silent. Dark. But something else caught my attention. A faint glow between the trees. Near the river. Moving slowly. Like a lantern swaying in the dark. My phone buzzed again. Another message from River Witness. That's where it's calling you. My stomach twisted. Another message appeared immediately after. Path is waiting. I looked toward the woods. The narrow trail was barely visible. But it was there. The same hidden path from my childhood. The one leading to the riverbank. And the glowing light beyond the trees. Had just moved deeper into the forest. Like it wanted me to follow. Behind me. Something inside my house crashed to the floor. Turned. The front door hung open. Water was spilling out across the porch. And in the dark hallway behind it, a tall shape slowly unfolded itself from the broken attic door. Watching me. Waiting. My phone buzzed again. Another message. From River Witness. If it leaves the house, it will follow you to the river. The shadow inside my hallway began moving. Low. Unnatural. Water dripping from its limbs. My pulse exploded in my ears. The path behind my house disappeared into darkness. The creature stepped onto my porch. My phone buzzed again. Final message. Run. The shadow tilted its head. And began walking toward me. Part 4. The woods know your name. The moment the thing stepped onto my porch. Ran. My shoes slammed against the cold ground as I sprinted toward the woods behind my house. The night air tore into my lungs, but I didn't slow down. Behind me, I heard water hitting wood. Rip, rip. Then footsteps. Low. Heavy. Not running. Just following. Like it knew I had nowhere else to go. The hidden trail appeared between the trees exactly where I remembered it. A narrow path cutting through thick brush and tall grass. The forest swallowed me instantly. Branches scraped against my jacket as I pushed deeper into the darkness. My flashlight beam bounced wildly across the trees. And behind me, the footsteps entered the woods. Low, patient, still following. My chest burned as I ran farther down the trail. The forest felt different tonight. Too quiet. No wind. No insects. Just the distant sound of flowing water somewhere ahead. The river. My phone buzzed again in my pocket. I almost ignored it. But curiosity forced me to look. Another message from the forum. From River Witness. You're on the path now, aren't you? My fingers shook as I typed while moving. Dark thread reader. Yes. The reply appeared immediately. Don't leave the trail. I slowed slightly. The path twisted between tall trees, barely visible under the weak beam of my flashlight. Another message appeared. The woods don't belong to the river. My heart pounded. Another message followed. But the closer you get to the water, the stronger it becomes. A loud snap echoed behind me. A branch breaking. I turned the flashlight toward the sound. For a second, I saw movement between the trees. Tall shape, limbs too long, dragging slightly as it walked. My breath caught. The creature from my house had entered the woods, and it was following the exact same path. I turned and ran again. The river grew louder ahead, water rushing over rocks. The trail sloped downward now. The forest floor grew damp beneath my shoes. The smell of river water filled the air. Cold, rotten, like something that had been submerged too long. My phone buzzed again. Another message from old neighbor appeared in the thread. You're heading toward the drowning spot. My chest tightened. Type quickly. Dark thread reader. What happened there? The reply took longer this time. Then finally appeared. 30 years ago a group of kids used to swim in that river. Another message followed. One night, one of them disappeared. My flashlight flickered across the trees as I ran. Something scratched into the bark caught my eye. Slowed. The beam revealed words carved into the tree. Weathered by time. Don't go to the water at night. My stomach twisted. I moved the flashlight across another tree. More carvings. More warnings. The river watches. Another tree. It calls you back. Cold fear crawled up my spine. How many people had walked this trail before me? My phone buzzed again. Another message. Old neighbor. They searched for the missing boy for 3 days. My breathing slowed slightly as I kept walking down the trail. The river was close now. I could hear the current clearly. Another message appeared. They finally found his body. I stopped walking. My fingers hovered over the phone. Then another message appeared. But the body was found upstream. My stomach dropped. Upstream. That made no sense. Bodies always float downstream. Another message appeared seconds later. Like something brought him back. The forest suddenly felt colder. The river appeared through the trees ahead. Silver moonlight reflecting across the dark water. The trail ended at a muddy riverbank. I stepped slowly toward it. The water moved gently across smooth stones. Peaceful. Quiet. Too quiet. Then I noticed something strange. Objects were scattered along the riverbank. Old objects. Rusty bicycle frame. A broken flashlight. A child's shoe half buried in mud. My chest tightened. These weren't random. They were things people had lost. Or things taken. My phone buzzed again. River Witness. Do you see the water? Type slowly. Dark thread reader. Yes. The reply came immediately. Then it's watching you now. My eyes slowly lifted toward the river. The water moved gently under the moonlight. Nothing else. Then something shifted beneath the surface. Ripple. My breath caught. Another ripple followed. Closer this time. The current slowed. Then stopped completely. The entire river surface went still. My heart pounded in my chest. The water bulged upward slowly, like something enormous was rising from beneath. I stumbled backward. The river surface broke. A long gray arm emerged from the water. Then another. The same thin limbs I saw breaking through my attic door. But these were larger. Much larger. Something began pulling itself out of the river. A tall shape rising slowly from the water. Water poured from its body like a waterfall. Its head tilted toward me. Even from a distance I could see its eyes. Black. Me. Watching me. My phone buzzed violently. New messages filled the thread. River witness. You're too close. Another message appeared instantly. Move away from the water. I backed away slowly. The creature stepped onto the riverbank. Its long limbs bent at unnatural angles. Water dripping endlessly from its body. Behind me. Another branch snapped. Turned. The second creature from my house emerged from the trees. Standing on the path. Blocking my escape. My heart nearly stopped. Two of them. One from the river. One from the house. Both watching me. My phone buzzed again. Another message from old neighbor. That's why they never found the fifth body. My stomach dropped. Fifth body. Another message appeared. Because it never drowned. The river creature began stepping toward me. Low. Deliberate. The one behind me moved closer too. My breathing turned frantic. My phone vibrated again. Another message from River Witness appeared. There's one place they can't reach. I typed desperately. Dark thread reader. Where? The reply appeared instantly. Follow the light. My eyes moved toward the trees along the riverbank. And that's when I noticed it. The faint glowing light again. Deeper in the woods. Moving slowly between the trees. Like someone holding a lantern. But there were no houses out here. No roads. Nothing but forest. My phone buzzed again. Final message from River Witness. Hurry. The creature from the river began running toward me. Faster than I expected. The one behind me lunged forward from the path. My heart exploded with panic. The glowing light moved deeper into the forest. And I ran after it. Part 5. The one who never left the river. I ran toward the light. Branches whipped across my arms as I pushed through the dark woods. My lungs burned, and every breath came out in short, panicked gasps. Behind me, the creatures moved through the forest. I could hear them. Wet footsteps crushing leaves. Branches snapping. Water dripping. But they weren't running. They were walking. Low. Certain. Like they knew I wouldn't escape. The faint lantern glow ahead of me drifted deeper between the trees. I followed it without thinking. My flashlight beam bounced wildly as the ground sloped downward again. The river's sound faded behind me. That alone felt wrong. The river should have been getting louder if I was still near it. But the forest around me had grown thicker. Darker. Older. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the forum. From River Witness. Keep moving. My fingers shook as I typed while running. Dark thread reader. What is that light? The reply came after a moment. Someone who knows what the river did. A chill crept through my chest. The lantern flickered ahead again. Closer now. I slowed slightly. And then I saw the person holding it. An old man stood between the trees. Wearing a heavy coat. The lantern hung from his hand, casting long shadows across the forest floor. His face was lined with deep wrinkles. But his eyes looked sharp, like he had been waiting for me. I stopped a few feet away. My chest rose and fell rapidly. He didn't look surprised. He didn't even look scared. He just studied me quietly. Then he spoke. His voice was low and rough. Thought it would be you. My stomach twisted. You know me. He shook his head slowly. No. His lantern lifted slightly, illuminating my face. But the river does. Cold fear crawled up my spine. I glanced behind me. The woods were silent again. Too silent. The creatures had stopped following. The old man noticed my reaction. They won't come here, he said. Not yet. My throat tightened. What are they? The old man sighed. Something that shouldn't have come back. My phone buzzed again. Another message appeared on the forum. From old neighbor. Did you find the lantern man? Froze. I slowly looked up at the old man. He stared back calmly. My fingers trembled as I typed. Dark thread reader. Are you the one in the woods? The reply appeared instantly. My stomach dropped. Your old neighbor. He nodded once. I figured the river would send someone tonight. My mind spun. You knew this would happen. The old man turned slowly and motioned for me to follow. Come. I hesitated, then followed him through the trees. The lantern light revealed a small clearing. In the center stood something unexpected. A wooden cabin. Weathered. Half covered in vines. The old man opened the door. Inside. I stepped in cautiously. The cabin smelled like dust and smoke. But it felt warm. Safer than outside. The old man placed the lantern on a table. The soft light filled the room. He sat across from me. Then spoke quietly. You saw them, didn't you? My throat felt tight. Yes. He nodded slowly. They always look the same. Tall. Wet. Empty eyes. My heart pounded harder. What are they? The old man leaned back in his chair. The river keeps the dead. My stomach twisted. But sometimes. His voice lowered. It gives one back. A cold silence filled the cabin. My phone buzzed again. Another message from River Witness appeared. Did he tell you about the 5th drowning? I looked up at the old man. His expression darkened. You're still talking to that one? Yes, he sighed. Then listen carefully. The old man leaned forward. 30 years ago 5 kids came to the river. He paused. One of them pushed the others in. My chest tightened. What? He nodded slowly. They were playing near the rocks. One boy slipped. The others tried to help. But someone held them under. My breathing slowed. Why? The old man's eyes drifted toward the floor. No one knows. Maybe anger. Maybe something worse. But 4 of them drowned. My stomach twisted. And the 5th? The old man's voice became quiet. They found him 3 days later. I remembered the forum message. Upstream. He nodded slowly. But that's not the strange part. A chill ran through my body. What do you mean? The old man looked up. When they pulled him from the water. He was still breathing. My heart skipped. What? He survived. The words felt impossible. He had been underwater for 3 days. That can't happen. The old man stared at me. No, it can't. My phone buzzed again. Another message from River Witness appeared. Ask him what happened to the boy after that. My fingers trembled. I looked back at the old man. What happened to him? The old man hesitated, then spoke slowly. The boy changed. How? He stopped speaking. He stopped sleeping. Every night. The old man's eyes moved toward the window. He would walk back to the river. Cold fear spread through my chest. Did they stop him? At first. But eventually. His voice grew quieter. He disappeared. The cabin creaked softly. Wind brushed against the walls. My heart beat faster. What happened to him? The old man looked directly at me. They never saw him again. Silence filled the room. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message appeared on the forum. From River Witness. Ask him where the boy lived. My hands shook slightly. I looked at the old man again. Where did that boy live? The old man studied my face. Slowly, carefully. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. Your house. The room suddenly felt colder. That's impossible. The old man shook his head. No, it's not. My phone buzzed again. Another message appeared. River Witness. Because you're living in the same house he did. My chest tightened. Another message appeared seconds later. And tonight, the river came back for him. The lantern flickered. The cabin walls creaked. Something moved between the trees. The old man slowly turned toward the window. His voice dropped to a whisper. "They found you." I looked outside. Two tall shapes stood just beyond the tree line, watching the cabin, waiting. My phone buzzed again. Another message appeared on the forum. "From outside your window. The river wants its boy back." The creatures outside took a slow step closer to the cabin, water dripping from their limbs. My heart pounded violently. The old man reached for the lantern, then said quietly, "Now you need to know the truth." My throat tightened. "What truth?" The old man looked straight at me and said the words that made my blood run cold. "You're not the first person to run from the river tonight." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" The old man slowly turned the lantern toward the cabin door and whispered, "Your friend was here first." My stomach dropped. "What friend?" The old man opened the cabin door slightly. Cold night air slid inside. Then he pointed toward the woods. And in the darkness beyond the trees, I saw someone standing near the river. Familiar silhouette. Completely still. My heart stopped. It was my brother. But he had disappeared 2 years ago. And now, he was standing beside the river, watching me. Part 6. The one standing by the river. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The shape standing near the river didn't move, didn't speak. But I knew that silhouette, even from this distance, even after 2 years. My voice barely worked. "Ethan." The name slipped out like a whisper. Behind me, the old man stayed silent. The lantern in his hand trembled slightly. My brother Ethan had disappeared 2 years ago. No note, no warning. One day he was there. The next day he was gone. Search parties looked for weeks. Police searched the woods. Divers checked the river. But they never found him. Everyone eventually accepted the same explanation. Ethan had run away. But now, he was standing beside the river, exactly where the drownings happened. My chest tightened painfully. "I need to go to him." The old man grabbed my arm. His grip was surprisingly strong. "No." I turned toward him. "That's my brother." His voice dropped low. "That might not be him anymore." A chill crawled up my spine. I looked back toward the river. Ethan hadn't moved. He just stood there, watching, waiting. My phone buzzed again in my hand. Another message appeared on the forum. "From River Witness. Don't go closer." My fingers trembled as I typed. "Dark thread reader. That's my brother." The reply came almost instantly. "No." My stomach twisted. Another message followed. "The river took him first." My chest tightened. What does that mean? The message appeared seconds later. "He followed the same path you did tonight." The old man leaned closer to my phone. His eyes narrowed. "River Witness knows too much." Another message appeared. 'Cause I saw it happen. The lantern flickered again. The wind outside the cabin grew stronger. The trees swayed slowly. My heart pounded. "Ethan!" I shouted toward the river. The figure moved. Slowly. His head turned toward the cabin. Moonlight touched his face. My stomach dropped. His skin looked pale. Too pale. And his eyes. They reflected the moonlight strangely, like the surface of water. He began walking toward the cabin. Step slow. And steady. My pulse exploded with panic. "Ethan, stop." But he kept coming. The old man stepped between me and the door. "You can't let him inside." My chest tightened. "That's my brother." The old man shook his head slowly. "No." He pointed toward the trees behind Ethan. 2 tall shapes were emerging from the darkness again. The river creatures. Following him. Watching him. Watching me. My phone buzzed again. Another message appeared. "River Witness. If he reaches the cabin door, don't open it." My breathing grew shallow. "Why?" The reply came slowly this time. "Because he won't be alone." My eyes snapped back to Ethan. He had stopped walking. Just a few feet outside the cabin now. standing in the shadows. His voice finally broke the silence. "Let me in." The sound hit me like a punch. It was Ethan's voice. But something about it felt wrong. Like the words were coming from deep underwater. The old man shook his head. "Don't answer." Ethan spoke again. "Please." My hand shook. He sounded desperate. "Cold. Afraid. It's freezing out here." My chest hurt. The door handle creaked slightly under my grip. "Please." The old man grabbed my wrist. "Look at his feet." Froze. Slowly lowered the lantern toward the floor outside. The light touched Ethan's legs. My stomach twisted violently. Water pooled beneath his feet. Not rainwater. River water. Dripping endlessly. Then the lantern light moved slightly higher. And I saw something worse. His shadow. It didn't match his body. Behind him, 2 tall shadows stretched across the ground. The same shapes that had chased me through the woods. Standing directly behind him. My phone buzzed again. Another message appeared. "River witness. They used the drown to get closer." Ethan raised his hand slowly. "Please open the door." My throat tightened painfully. "I can help you." The old man whispered harshly. "Don't." Another message appeared. "River witness. If you open that door, they all come inside." The wind outside the cabin suddenly stopped. The forest went silent. Ethan stopped speaking. His head tilted slightly. Then his voice changed. "You're reading the messages, aren't you?" My heart skipped. "How do you know that?" Ethan smiled slightly. But the expression felt empty. "Because I can see them too." My phone buzzed again. Another message appeared. But this time, the username wasn't River Witness. Or outside your window. It was something new. Riverboy. My blood ran cold. The message read, "The river doesn't like when people interfere." I stared at the screen. Another message appeared immediately. "It only wants one thing." My fingers trembled. "What?" The reply appeared slowly. Letter by letter. The one who pushed them in. My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" Another message appeared. 30 years ago, 5 kids went to the river. 4 drowned. 1 survived. My chest tightened. The old man looked pale now. The message continued. But the one who survived wasn't innocent. My breathing stopped. Another message appeared. The one who survived was the one who pushed them in. My hands went numb. "That's impossible." Another message appeared. The river kept the truth. The wind outside picked up again. The cabin creaked. Ethan stopped smiling. His expression slowly changed. His eyes darkened. "They're getting closer," he whispered. Behind him, the 2 tall river creatures stepped out of the trees. Closer now. Just a few feet away. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Riverboy appeared. "The river waited 30 years. My heart pounded. Another message followed. "Now it wants the one responsible." My fingers trembled. "I didn't do anything." The message appeared instantly. "Not you." The lantern flickered violently. The old man suddenly stepped backward. His face drained of color. Another message appeared. My eyes slowly lifted from the phone. Toward the old man. He stood frozen. The lantern shaking in his hand. And then Ethan pointed at him. "That's him." My stomach dropped. The old man whispered something under his breath. "No." Another message appeared on my screen. Riverboy. The boy who survived. Grew old. My chest tightened. The message finished. And tonight, the river finally found him. The 2 creatures behind Ethan began moving toward the cabin. The old man backed away slowly. His face filled with terror. My heart hammered. "What did you do?" The old man whispered weakly. "I didn't mean to." The door behind us suddenly slammed shut. The lantern shattered on the floor. Darkness swallowed the cabin. And outside, Ethan began laughing. Part 7. The night the river remembered. Darkness filled the cabin after the lantern shattered. For a few seconds, no one moved. The only sound in the room was the wind pushing against the wooden walls and the faint dripping of river water from outside. My heart pounded so hard it felt painful. Somewhere in the darkness, the old man whispered, "It wasn't supposed to come back." Outside, Ethan's laughter slowly faded. Then silence returned. I fumbled for my flashlight. My shaking hands finally found the switch. The beam cut through the darkness. The old man stood near the back wall, pale and trembling. His eyes darted toward the cabin door, like he expected something to burst through it any second. I stepped closer. "You pushed them in." The old man's breathing grew uneven. "I was just a kid," he whispered. "You don't understand." My chest tightened. "Then explain it." His shoulders sagged, like the weight of 30 years had finally caught up to him. "It was summer," he said slowly. "Hot, humid. The kind of day where everyone went down to the river." The wind rattled the cabin windows. Outside, something splashed softly in the distance. The old man continued. "There were 5 of us." His voice trembled slightly. 4 of them liked to tease me." My stomach twisted. "Call me weak. Push me around." His eyes drifted toward the floor. Then one day I pushed back. Silence filled the cabin. The flashlight beam trembled slightly in my hand. "What happened?" The old man swallowed hard. "They were standing near the rocks, close to the deep part of the river." He rubbed his shaking hands together. "They shoved me first. I fell in." His breathing became uneven. "When I climbed back out," his voice dropped to a whisper, "I was angry." Cold dread crawled through my chest. "So you pushed them?" The old man nodded slowly. "I thought they could swim." My stomach tightened. But the current pulled them under. The wind outside howled louder. "And the 5th boy?" The old man closed his eyes. "He grabbed me." My pulse quickened. "He tried to climb out of the water. But I panicked." His voice cracked. "I held him under." The words hit me like a punch. The cabin creaked loudly. Something moved near the door. Slow footsteps. But heavy. I turned my flashlight toward the door. Water was sliding under it now. Thin streams spreading across the wooden floor. The river creatures were getting closer. My phone buzzed again. Another message appeared on the forum. From Riverboy. "The river remembers everything." My fingers trembled as I read. Another message appeared. Every scream, every breath, every lie. The old man stared at my phone with horror. Another message followed. "Tonight the truth comes back to the surface." Outside the cabin, something touched the door. The entire wall shook slightly. The old man stepped back. "They found me," he whispered. I looked toward the window. Moonlight revealed tall shapes moving between the trees. 3 now. Not 2. My stomach twisted. Ethan stood between them, still smiling. But his eyes looked empty, like something else was looking through them. The cabin door creaked slowly. The wood began bending inward. The river creatures were pushing against it. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Riverboy appeared. "There is still one truth he hasn't told you." I glanced toward the old man. "What truth?" Another message appeared. "Ask him what happened to the 5th body." My chest tightened. "You said they never found it." The old man looked at me. His face was pale as paper. I lied. The door cracked loudly behind us. Wood splintered. Water poured faster across the floor. "What do you mean you lied?" The old man's voice barely worked. "I didn't leave him in the river." The door groaned under pressure. Another crack split through the wood. My pulse pounded violently. "Then where did you put him?" The old man whispered the answer. "The woods." Cold silence filled the cabin. "What?" He was still breathing when I dragged him out. My stomach twisted violently. He wasn't dead. The old man covered his face. I panicked. "What did you do?" The door exploded open. Wood shattered across the floor. Cold river water flooded into the cabin. Two tall creatures stepped inside. Their limbs bent at unnatural angles. Water pouring endlessly from their bodies. My flashlight beam shook violently. Their eyes were black. Me. Watching. The old man screamed. They came for me. My phone buzzed again. Another message appeared. Riverboy. The boy in the woods survived. My heart stopped. Another message followed. He crawled through the forest all night. My breathing became shallow. The message continued. And someone found him. My chest tightened. Who? The final message appeared slowly. Your father. The room spun. What? Another message appeared. He brought the boy home. My hands trembled violently. My father had died 3 years ago. Another message appeared. He adopted him. The creatures stepped closer across the flooded cabin floor. My heart hammered painfully. The message finished. And he named him Ethan. My breath stopped. I slowly turned toward the cabin door. Ethan was standing there now. Completely still. Watching me. Watching the old man. Watching the creatures. My voice barely worked. You're the 5th boy. Ethan smiled slowly. But the smile wasn't kind. It was something older. Something patient. The river gave me time, he said softly. The creatures stopped moving. They turned toward the old man. Waiting. Ethan stepped forward slowly. His wet footsteps echoed across the wooden floor. 30 years of waiting. The old man collapsed to his knees. I was just a kid. Ethan knelt in front of him. His voice became cold. You held me under the water. The old man sobbed. I didn't mean to. Ethan interrupted him quietly. The river did. The creatures lifted their long arms slowly. My phone buzzed one last time. Another message appeared. From Riverboy. Tonight the river finishes what it started. Ethan stood up slowly. The creatures grabbed the old man. He screamed. They dragged him toward the door. Toward the river. Toward the darkness waiting beyond the trees. I stood frozen. Unable to move. Unable to stop it. Ethan looked back at me one last time. You should go home. My throat tightened. What about you? He smiled faintly. I already did. Then he walked back into the woods. Following the creatures dragging the old man toward the river. The forest swallowed them completely. The cabin fell silent again. Water slowly drained across the floor. My phone buzzed one last time. A new thread appeared on the forum. Posted seconds ago. The username made my blood run cold. Dark Thread Reader. My own username. The title read, If you're reading this after 2 a.m. Don't open your window. My heart stopped. Because I hadn't written it. Part 8. The forum never forgives. I stared at the screen. My own username. Dark Thread Reader. And below it, the message I hadn't typed. If you're reading this after 2 a.m. Don't open your window. My hands shook violently. The cabin felt colder. Silent. Me. But not alone. Outside the wind whispered. Through the broken windows. Across the flooded floor. The creatures were gone. Or had they just left to wait? I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. And then another message appeared. On the thread. From Riverboy. You know why? My fingers trembled. Another message followed. 'Cause it never forgets. The phone buzzed again. I glanced toward the window. The pane was cracked. A thin stream of water trickled in. And then I saw it. Shadow moving outside. Vin. Watching me. Eyes black. Me. Like Ethan's. Or the river creatures. Backed away. Another message appeared. Now it's your turn. My blood ran cold. I didn't understand. But my fingers typed automatically. New post. The cursor blinked. If you're reading this. Don't open your window. Froze. The words weren't mine. They just appeared. A chilling realization hit me. The forum wasn't just a forum. It was alive. It knew who was reading. Controlled the story. It made you a part of it. The shadow outside moved closer. I could hear footsteps. What? Dragging. Low. The phone buzzed violently again. Another post appeared in my thread. It's here. I didn't write it. I couldn't stop it. My hand shook. The window rattled. The water beneath the cabin began rising again. Cold black water creeping across the floor. The shadow pressed against the glass, its long limbs scraping. A message appeared instantly on the forum. You opened it. My stomach dropped. I hadn't. But the forum said I did. 'Cause now it knew. Knew everything. Another post appeared. And now, you are part of the story. The cabin trembled. Water gushed higher. I stumbled backward. My phone buzzed once more. New message. From a username I didn't recognize. Next reader. Hello. Are you awake? The words froze me. The screen flickered. Then I realized that username was mine. From the past thread. The river. The creatures. The forum. They had merged. Time and reality didn't matter anymore. The phone screen lit up again. Don't ignore the thread. You're next. I screamed. The shadow outside pressed harder. Long limbs clawing against the glass. Black, endless eyes staring in. Water rose past my knees. I tried to run. The cabin door burst open. Cold river water flooded the room. The creatures followed. And then the darkness swallowed me. My phone slipped from my hand. Green blinking. A new thread appeared. Dark thread reader. If you're reading this after 2 a.m., don't open your window. And just like that, I became the next warning. Another username on the forum. Another reader pulled into the same cycle. The river doesn't forget. It doesn't forgive. And it doesn't let go. From somewhere beyond the cabin, I could hear my own voice typing. Don't open your window. The last thing I saw before everything went black was a pair of empty black eyes staring through the glass. Waiting.